Welcome to the KMC Collective Podcast, where the KMC team brings you practical insights, creative ideas, and authentic conversations for children's ministry leaders. Each conversation is packed with strategies to help you lead with clarity, build strong teams, nurture families, and stay healthy in the process. Whether you're planning lessons, training volunteers, or seeking encouragement for the week ahead, this podcast is for you. We hope to make you laugh, cry, think, and maybe a bit of all three in each of our weekly conversations. This is the KMC Collective Podcast. Let's jump into the conversation.
All right, and welcome to the KMC Collective Podcast. Hey, let me ask you a question. Have you ever stood in front of a group of fourth and fifth graders thinking, why don't they sing? Why don't they engage with worship? Well, and stay tuned. This episode is for you. So, like I said, welcome to the KMC Collective Podcast. I'm Tom.
I'm Cole.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Vicky.
All right, Ben, give us the inside scoop. What's the conversation about this week?
All right. So after 20 plus years in ministry,
you're old.
From small churches, not as old as you, small churches to big churches to multi-site churches, I've seen it all. But what I have been seeing is a hot topic on social accounts about people asking about, what do you do for worship with kids? And I mean, I'm seeing things from people fighting for, I want my kids to worship with adults in the service, to I throw a video up on the screen and we worship, to we have people come in and do live worship, to even we have a band for kids. So there's a wide variety of opinions. There's a wide variety of options out there. And there's some really good children's worship leaders. But one of the things that I'm passionate about is I really want to see kids fall in love with Jesus, and it's interactive. And I want them to connect. And some of these connect, some of them don't, depending on your church. And I'm just curious, what do you guys think about worship? What is the most effective that you've seen? What are some amazing resources you may have used? Because I'm not the only one out there. Like I said, hot topic on social accounts everywhere. And I just want to talk about it. Like, what is working in worship? You like that? 3 W's. What is working in worship?
Very cool.
Let's talk
There we go.
That's a Tom thing with it all matching letters.
Yeah. I like it when it does that, but so good job. But bonus points for you as kicking us off tonight. Well, I think a lot of people get hung up because they get stuck in one way and they think it can only be done one way. And there's one thing, well, there's a lot of things I've learned from my good friend Yancey, our good friend Yancey. I mean, her book, Sweet Sound, is one of my top resources that I recommend when I'm coaching leaders and we're talking about worship, because, there is that big struggle do we have them worship with their parents and get them dismissed? Do we do motions? Do we not do motions? I mean, there's a lot of arguments. And the thing is I just tell people, look, what is your culture and community like? Do that. You got to do something that fits it. I have seen little country churches trying to emulate big city worship, and then they wonder why nobody's engaging. And it's like, the full blast out, raise your hair band is not going to cut it in some of those kind of places, because they just don't accept that. And I think even for kids, they're not used to that kind of thing. So I think, as we start talking about this, the one thing that everybody should keep in mind, in my opinion, is you have to understand what your culture and community is like, and what your temperament is like, and what things do your kids really respond to. But don't get stuck in the same thing every single week too. Variety is a great thing. And there are all different kinds of postures to worship. There's different ways to worship beyond just singing. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody tonight on what you see in the community and what you feel like is important to you when you're getting your kids to worship. Because I know for me, I always talk to our kids about, look, I don't care if you sing or do the motions. What I care about is how your heart is reflecting to God. He sees and knows what you're thinking. He knows where your heart and mind is. So if you're not with us, then you're ignoring God. And that's what this time is for, is to bring you into the presence of God, into a place. So if you want to sit down, if you want to close your eyes, if you want to raise your hands, you want to just stand still, or you want to sing at the top of your lungs and jump till you can't jump no more. As long as your heart is focused on Jesus and you're expressing it, go for it.
So what is your favorite go-to, Tom, over the 40, 50 years of children's ministry, whatever that was? What do you find yourself like being your favorite, your personal favorite?
Well, yeah, see, that's totally different than what I would do with kids. And honestly, for me, it is the variety. There are some times where instrumental, no words is what I need. Then there are times where, yeah, I need a little more upbeat. And then there's times where I just want the good old hymns that go deep into the theology, the good theology. There's some bad hymns out there that are written with really bad theology. And it's terrifying that people still sing them. So for me personally, it really is on what my heart needs and what my mind needs at the moment. Because sometimes I just need that instrumental, no words. And then there's other times where I need the words. Other times I need the old hymns. Other times I need the modern praise, the newest stuff that's out there. So
Kind of
I
goes with
love,
what you were saying
I
about
love
being
music.
variety.
Yeah, I love music. And so for me, that's what's most important to me is I can't get stuck in a rut. So that would be my answers. What's the most important to me when it comes to worship? It's listening to my heart and my mind and knowing that this is what my soul is aching for and I need. And so I'm going to put myself in that spot.
So Tom, I often say there's a ton of different methods that we can use to engage kids in worship. My heart goes to, how are we engaging kids in worship? Not so they're doing the motions, but what are we doing to help them connect with their Father? What are we doing before the song, after the song, to teach them the why of worship? And that is where the meat is. And when I learned that for myself years ago, the whole worship culture shifted in me because I was like, oh, this is so much deeper and more relevant to me when it's a heart posture, when it was taught to me. And so one of my favorite things is to teach our kids on their level, whether it's preschool, K first, the fourth and fifth, what that looks like to them.
Yeah.
And so
That's so good.
it's the heart posture of why are we going to worship? So before the song, why are we going to worship? And then let's read scripture. And then when you're worshiping, you can use any of those methods, whether it's the band on stage or an instrumental or a live lyric video. Maybe you're wanting to sit back and journal. There's a ton of different ways, but I think we're going to miss it if we don't teach the kids the why behind what they're doing. That fourth grade boy in the back who's like, I don't want to do the dance motions. I'm like, but that's not why you're doing, that's not why we're worshiping.
Yeah.
And if we can capture their heart and teach them it's a connection with their Father, that to me is the win of worship.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have like a guest or a group of your, like we talked about last week, have teenagers come in to that class, because automatically it's not their teacher that's telling them to worship. It's a peer. It's somebody that's super close to their age. And honestly, it's somebody different. And so as you minister to families, as a children's director, children's pastor, children's minister, or volunteer, you are somebody different that's teaching kids good godly values. So when mom and dad are preaching at these kids, you need to do this and be right
Mm-hmm.
and get right and live a good, life. Then you come in as a children's, minister, and you're like, you should do this. They're going to listen to you first because you're different. And I'm strongly believe in having somebody other than the children's director leading it, and
Yep.
lean on your volunteers, lean on your um like high schoolers for sure, because automatically that fifth
Yep.
grade boy sitting in the back is going to perk up when it's
Oh
somebody
yeah.
that's close to his age versus some 40, 50-year-old person jumping around on stage doing motions or trying to lead with a guitar or whatever
Yep.
that is.
Yeah,
But be different. Like, put somebody
I
in there.
very rarely was on stage during worship. I usually, a lot of times I would, I would kick off with the host, and usually I had a kid or another teen or another adult co-hosting up on stage, and we're kind of setting the theme for the morning and that kind of thing. But one of the things that I use my teens and some of my older kids, I had fourth, fifth, sixth graders leading my worship stuff, and I trained them to read,
Mm-hmm.
start off with a scripture verse, or sometimes they would say, "Okay, we're going to start our time of worship in silence." And because we mix things up, because if you can talk about, I mean, all the variety, but if all you ever do is we're going to sing 3 songs, 3 rowdy ones, or do 4 songs, 3 rowdy ones and 1 quiet one. Well, if you don't incorporate scripture, if you don't incorporate a silent time, or like I said, a journal time, or even a time to say, okay, we do want you to get on your knees for a moment and close your eyes and close out the world. I think the worship experience needs to teach kids, they can, just like with prayer, you can worship anytime, anywhere, any place. We need to show kids during the worship time at church that worship is not just singing, it's all these different things. And so if you don't give God space to speak, how are they going to hear his voice? How are they going to learn what it sounds like? And so I think, like you said, Ben, having somebody other than the leader up front, to me, is
Mm-hmm.
very, very powerful. I totally co-sign on that one. And that's why I let my students and my older kids do it, because I wanted them to see their peers doing it, but I also wanted their peers to lead them in, okay, we're going to read this Bible verse together first before we sing, because this is where that song comes from, is off of this verse of scripture, that kind of thing. I think that's something. So Cole, you've been too quiet.
No, I've been just listening. I know, like, in the past, for one, I can tell you, for one, I have not figured this out doing kids ministry for 20 years. It just, that ebbs and flows, and there are seasons where everyone's engaged and it's great, and you can do any type of worship and everyone's a part of it. And then there are seasons where you're like, I can't even get the fourth graders to stand up off the floor, or I can't. And
Yeah,
I just been
That's
listening.
good.
Something you said, what
It's
you just
true.
said, is one of the things that I had a kids director I was interning years ago, and we had done in this ministry, we had done a lot of the, like, live lyric videos with high schoolers on stage or junior high kids on stage leading with that type of thing. And we had a new kids director come in, and I remember, like, he was like 2 months in, and he goes, "What do you think if we shifted worship?" And I said, "What do you mean? Tell me what you're thinking." And he goes, "What if instead of just," he's like, "all of that has value, live lyric videos and all that emotions, all that has value." He goes, "But ultimately it's about connecting with God. What if we gave them an opportunity to connect with God?" And I was like, "Tell me more. What are you thinking?" And he goes, "What if we created stations and we allowed the kids to, in station one, journal. Station two, they had some, as the song's playing, what's it making you think? Model something out of clay or Play-Doh or
Ooh, that's
something like
cool.
that. Or draw a picture. What are you feeling as the song plays? How are you connecting to God? Drawing a picture." And so coming up with these little stations. And I was a little hesitant, as someone that had been in that ministry for significantly longer than he had as a volunteer. I was like, this is really going to push our kids and our volunteers out of their comfort zone. But honestly, it worked. Um, we got on stage and we explained what it was. Like the kids knew what worship was. We had talked about it numerous times, and he just presented the idea of what if it looked different? What if instead of just doing the motions, what if instead of doing the dance moves, what if we tried to connect God and worship in a different way and explained each and every station to the kids before they did it? Yeah, large group went a little long because we had to explain everything, but I thought it was a really good large group. And as time progressed and we presented it more and more, like, we do it once a month or once every other month or something like that, just to change it up a bit. We would see more and more engagement from the kids, and they would do, I mean, some of the pictures kids drew, some of the journals. We'd have prayer wall, and I tell you, weekends where we have the prayer wall, weekends we'd have that worship. That prayer wall would double in size because people would be
Wow.
putting prayer requests down, rolling up and putting it in the little chicken wire
So
thing.
cool.
But no, it was, and I was challenged because as someone that had been doing kids ministry from a volunteer standpoint one way for so long, I was challenged, and I again, I didn't think it was gonna like go as well as it did the first time, and it did. It connected. And so yeah, I've done that here and there in my current ministry, but I'll tell you right now, in my ministry, we are kind of in a slower season, a season where there is a bit disconnect, and I'm trying to play, well, what do we need to change? What do we need to do? And in my K through 3 environment, we shifted. We had a bunch of sixth graders down there helping out doing worship, and it just wasn't connecting. And so I shifted them to help in other ways. And then I had a couple high schoolers that said, no, no, we want to do it. And they have owned it. Last week, Ben and I, when we were talking or whatever, I had a text message come through during our chat from my high schoolers telling me these are the next 2 songs we're going to do for the next month. Like these are the
Oh,
ones we want to do.
nice.
And so
Let's
I had
go.
given them a list. They come up with the motions, they teach the motions, and with all of that, I've seen significant engagement in my K through 3 environment. Now my 4th and 5th grade environment, we're still working on. Um, but I don't want to monopolize the time, but our entire environment in the last year has shifted from a larger area with a stage. Since my 4th and 5th grade environment technically now is just 4th grade, we went from having 30 to 35 kids in that environment to like 12. And so it's got to look different. And so
Yeah,
I'm
for
actually
sure.
in the process. I started it last week. I met with my large group teacher in that classroom, and I'm going to meet with my small group leaders, and we're going to come together. And I want to just pick their brains and go, what do we need to do to change it? Because it's not working. And with our environments, what needs to shift? Whether it is large group, this is a bigger conversation, whether it's large group, worship, or small group, in that environment, something isn't working. And so we need to figure it out. And so I was been quiet because I've just been listening because I'm trying to glean information because I don't have it all together, and I'm trying to figure out what it looks like in our
Yeah.
ministry. So yeah.
But
Keep them
none of us
guessing.
have it
Like
figured
I
out.
love, I love the fact that are switching it up, because a kid needs variety, and if they get used to something, they're going to get too cool for school,
Yep.
and they'll get bored of it very quickly. It's almost like screen time is always throwing something in front of your face that's different, it's new, and in order to keep a kid's attention, it's got to be
Yep.
equally like. And worship
Mhm.
is not screen time, it is just, it's content basically, but it's good godly content. It's an opportunity for them to get, connect
Mhm.
with God. One of the things that I really really strongly think is like there's all kinds of different stuff, but every month should look completely different.
Yep.
And I love the fact you're doing these stations, because it goes back to what Vicky was saying. Like it teaches them why. Like worship is not just singing. It's not
Yep.
just dancing. It's
Mhm.
praying. It's walking around outside. Like you can worship anywhere, anytime, doing anything.
Yep.
And one of the things that I absolutely have fallen in love with came from a kid, and it was, I was riding with this family in their truck, and we were going to some event, and in the back seat we had Christian music on, and this kid, probably 5 years old, was full-fledged, hands up, singing to the top of their lungs.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
These songs that were on the radio that they hear all the time on their way to school. Every
Yeah.
time they go, I mean, Christian radio plays the same like 20 songs, and that's about it.
Yeah, right.
But why don't we, as children's like ministers, why can't we connect that piece to our church piece? If a kid is recreating that and they're singing it in their car, they're going to have that same thought when that Forrest Frank song pops up in our church, and they're going to sing because they're familiar with it. And that
Yep.
for them is the piece that gets rid of that scared moment or that too cool for
Yeah.
school moment.
Yep.
They're sitting in the back because they're like, I don't want to. But if there's a song that is like their beat, their vibe, they're gonna stand up, they're gonna sing, they're gonna do their
Yep.
thing. And how you present it, variety, like you were saying,
Yep.
is
Yep.
key.
And you know,
let me ask.
go ahead,
Go
Cole.
ahead, Tom. No, I was
No,
just
that's it.
thinking, like, as we're thinking outside the box, and you said Forrest Frank. I remember a Sunday a few months ago when we have a playlist that plays over the speakers as the kids are, checking in and stuff like that. And I remember we have Forrest Frank on that playlist. And I remember when that song came up, I had a kid run up and, "You have Forrest Frank on your playlist?" My question is,
Oh man.
have we ever, and this is a question more so for myself, as Ben was talking, I thought to myself, if I think out of the box and I challenge myself, I know we all know what traditional worship songs happen upstairs with mom and dad or in your adult venue. What if your traditional worship songs shifted a little bit and you find ways to incorporate a Forrest Frank song or something like that in your worship time? Like saying, you know what I mean? And whether you're doing someone's coming up with motions for it or something like that, and you're playing I don't know, I don't even know if something like that exists, and how you would get it, but it does.
Vicky's got the inside
Vicky's
scoop.
got it. Oh, Vicky's got it. All right. I'm just thinking, I'm like trying to figure out a way that you can connect with whatever age kids that connect with that. And maybe again, I don't have it figured out, and I'm trying to glean all the information from you guys. So that might be an idea to figure out how to do it.
can I throw something else at us?
Sure.
Go for it.
When do we know it's time to get rid of a song? Now, like, right, we have really good worship songs, and I've been in this space where we love this song, but do they? Is we, me, is
Me.
Uh-huh.
the
There
adult
it
leader,
is. There it is.
or is it, do the kids still really love it? Now, Jesus Loves Me in preschool, I think they just want that in rotation.
Yep.
But I think we also have to stand back and think, when is it time to retire a really good song?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oceans.
so if you are kids,
Sorry.
what?
That sounds like a main service issue, Tom.
Yeah. But if the kids are not necessarily engaging as much anymore, is it just time to move on? That's okay. And I have been in space where I've let worship songs linger too long, and then we're in a space where kids aren't engaging. And it can be hard. We could do a whole nother podcast, I'm sure, on where to get worship music, how to do worship music correctly, and make sure that you're following all of the guidelines and copyright and stuff. But
Yes.
it can be hard for people. And so I think when people are like, my kids aren't engaging, what do I do? It's so complex.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Part of it is knowing when it's time to move on from a certain song.
Yes. Read the room. Read the room, people. And again, worship is not about you. Those are my top two things right there. Read the room.
That song is so aggravating, Tom. I just want it to go away. The kids sing way too loud. It's just those moments that you're right, Vicky. You just have to say it's not about me.
Yeah, it's not, because it's and that some leaders just
connected.
it's my favorite. I gotta sing this. because I don't go to big church, so I'll sing it in kids' church. No, stop.
And there are
It's not
kids
about
who,
you.
you have motions, you do motions to the song, and then you have this group and they're not doing the motions, and the perception could be that they're goofing off.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite question to throw back to people is, I want you to watch them for 3 weeks, and I want you to ask a question to them after worship. How did you worship? How did that song speak to you? What did you hear in that song? Is it perceived goofing off, or are they really doing it? They could be really goofing off. But you might be surprised in that motions that they're just like dancing and being silly boys, but it's helping them in that silliness connect with God.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And don't, I mean, man, one of the worst things I've ever seen happen during a worship segment was this one lady calling out kids
Mhm.
that weren't singing.
Yeah, no.
And man, I was a kids and youth pastor, and I took a group of middle schoolers to a big rally thing, and we had kind of walked in a little bit late, and so we were in the back corner. And the thing is this was the first time we'd ever gone to this event, and they were singing this one song, and everybody knew the motions and everybody was into it except for my group. And I had like 30 kids standing there. And this guy in the front of the room called us out. Hey, everybody, look at this group. They're not singing.
Oh.
I had some pretty unholy thoughts going through my head at that moment towards that guy.
Definitely weren't worshiping, were you, Tom?
I was not. I was not. And
Oh,
do you know what I
goodness.
did? Do you know what I did? I took my group, I looked at every one of them, and I had another leader on the other end because I happened to be I was kind of in the middle of the group, and I went out.
Yep.
And I took my group and we walked out of the room. And later on, he and I had a little private come to Jesus meeting. Because
Did you bring Jesus, or did you bring something else up?
a little of holy anger, because I had a lot of first-time believers in that room. I had kids who were not raised in the church, and they had never been to anything like this before, and they didn't know their little club songs. And it was I said, bro, do you know Matthew 18 and what it says when you offend a kid? It's better for you that you take a big old millstone and hang it around your neck and go take a flying leap. And that's what I told him to go do. I said, because you offended my entire group. And I have a bunch of baby Christians in this room that came here wanting to experience what believers do. And I think that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind when we're worshiping. We have kids in the room who their parents aren't believers. And this is their only church time. Maybe grandma and grandpa bring them, or aunt and uncle bring them, or a neighbor brings them. And they don't know the club. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't understand when you say, hey, we want you to come into Daddy God's presence. And we use all these terms, and these kids are going, what? And so, of course, they're not going to jump around and do the motions. And they might have heard about Forrest Frank, but maybe they haven't. But using a Forrest Frank song might be something that they have heard out in the public and go, I recognize that. They do that here. I mean, there's a whole another 5 podcasts
Teach with the first time guest in mind. It doesn't
yes.
mean stay lukewarm. You can go deep, but that's why it's our goal and our hope is that we are teaching kids.
Gotta teach.
Yep.
Gotta teach every single week.
To the heart of worship. And you don't teach everything every week, but one moment, one thing.
Yep.
Just like, right? It's that drip theology that we can pour into kids.
Teach
Be a
them
drip.
the what,
Be a drip.
the what, the when, and the why of when to worship, and how to worship.
That's right.
I love it.
And don't wing it.
Don't.
So here's what I think we should do from here. This amazing podcast. I mean, we just started a heated conversation with Tom. He brought the passion,
Yeah.
and so I'm going to give him a second to cool down for a minute. That is his pass coming up. But I think what we should do is like, let's talk about it. Like, there's so many churches out there doing so many different things
Mhm.
in our Facebook community
Mhm.
and our Instagram, on blogs. We want to know like what's working, and let's talk about it, because
Absolutely.
like we're just four people that have experienced things, but we're not everybody. And so our whole mantra is we are better together. And so like I
Mhm.
can't be better just learning from these four people. I got to learn
Nope.
That's
from
right.
everybody. I got to figure.
Absolutely.
So we started this a couple weeks ago, a newsletter from the Kid Ministry Collective called Better Together Newsletter. And you're going to start seeing all these things like resources, write ups, free stuff, links that
Yeah.
make us better in ministry because maybe we didn't know it even existed.
That's
And
right.
so we're scouring the web to find things that will get you thinking. And
Yep.
I think in this next newsletter coming up, I think we should like put resources out.
I
Like,
think
I
we're gonna
mean,
here are
have to.
some resources
we
that
should
make
grab
you
Yancey's book.
successful.
You guys talked about it. I've
Yep.
never read it. I'm
Yep.
gonna
So
order it
good.
as soon as this
So
Yeah.
podcast is done recording.
So good.
Well, you know what? You can email me at tom@tombump.com. I would love to know what our listeners, tell us what your favorite songs are right now. Tell
Mhm.
us some of your favorite tips to engage kids. Tell us how, if you've done the stations idea or you've done, sculpting or painting or whatever. Tell us what you've done that's just different than singing. And
and
Yep.
let's put it in that
and
newsletter.
we're going to put it in the newsletter. We're going to
Yes.
put it in the you can share it in the Facebook group if you don't want to email it to me. Because yes, I think we should do a worship edition, and we'll put this in the show notes, but we'll also put it in the newsletter. How, hey, here's some tools. Here's where you can find worship music. Here's to some of the different worship resources we've pulled. But let's get you guys in this, because yeah, we are better together. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there that I'm sure I've never heard of, even in my ancient days.
And we're always better together because Vicky's here. And that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Be a drip.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what that.
Keep dripping. Keep dripping.
Okay. All right, Tom.
Thank you guys for helping me, because like I say, a hot topic, and I love that we can come together and talk every week just around
Yeah.
this little cube square
Yeah.
here on
The
YouTube.
virtual roundtable.
Yeah,
There you go.
I
That's
love
what
it.
we called it. The virtual roundtable. Yeah. And so again, if you haven't joined the Kid Ministry Collective Facebook group, come and do that. If you're looking for a leadership community, you want something that's going to really stretch you and take you further and deeper and farther, come check out kidminplus.net. We would love to have you be a part of that. So, all right, that's going to wrap up this conversation. And hey, do us a favor and give us a like or subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You can find it, Kids Ministry Collective. It's right there on YouTube. Or leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know where you're listening. We would love to know about that. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up. Stay tuned until our next conversation. I'm Tom.
I'm Cole.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Vicky. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Hey, friend, that wraps up the KMC Collective Podcast for this week. Thanks so much for listening. If today's episode sparked something, an idea, a heartbeat, or a fresh start, drop us a line at tom@tombump.com or reach out on social media. We'd love to hear your story and keep the conversation going. Remember, you're not just doing kids ministry, you're shaping the next generation's faith with intention and care. Be encouraged, be creative, and take a breath. You've got this. Catch you next time on the KMC Collective Podcast.